Hey girl, hey, it's Shamika Sanders, Brandy Victorian, and Kiara Kelly. Same host, new hair, out here flossing for you guys. And you are watching Listen to Black Women. On this show, we are listening to you and exploring the voices of Black women. To do that, we are asking to hear your opinion on our weekly topics on Hello Beautiful and MadameNoire, seeing what you have to say on social media, as well as checking what other conversations related to the topic are happening elsewhere on the web. So ladies, let's do it.
Let's get them.
Let's get it.
So this week we're discussing toxic masculinity, but before we actually get into the discussion, let's really explain what we mean by that phrase.
Yes, because we got to silence the not all men crowd right now. We're not saying that all men are toxic, but there are a lot of behaviors that men participate in that we could consider toxic masculinity.
Exactly, and that's homophobia, sexism, hyper-masculine behaviors, hyper-competitiveness, violence, aggression, all those things really fall under the umbrella of toxic masculinity.
And men aren't taught to deal with their emotions. They aren't given the language to articulate their feelings, and it manifests in these ways, in violence and all the things you just listed.
Absolutely.
Here are just a few examples of these behaviors from headlines straight from Hello Beautiful and MadameNoire. Men aren't happy with Issa Rae's new show about dating as a bisexual black man, but she cares not.
Khalees reveals Nas was physically abusive during their marriage. It's a hard one.
Now, at its worst and most dangerous, toxic masculinity actually results in violence and or murder of women at the hands of their partners, and we have a few more real-life examples of that.
Brownsville, Brooklyn man kills 3 family members and himself after a family feud.
Husband suspected of killing 22-year-old wife who was 8 months pregnant by pushing her down the stairs. So, as you mentioned, these are the real-life examples happening to men and women in our communities that demonstrate the devastating and violent outcomes of toxic masculine tendencies.
With all that being said, the question of the week is, are we currently experiencing a crisis of masculinity? Each week we scour the internet to see what you have to say about the topics we're discussing. Things got a little heated in the MadameNoire comment section, per usual, when we asked you, what is toxic masculinity? One MadameNoire commenter wrote, toxic masculinity is what way too many young men of color are suffering from these days. These men are haters of independent women. They are homophobic. They are self-haters. You can't get any more toxic than that.
But I think her point of the more independent women become, the more men struggle to find their place in society, because a lot of people feel like right now we're having an issue because women are, making money. A lot of women say they don't need a man for anything, and men are kind of lost. Where do I fit into this? And then where they fit in is acting out, on us and themselves.
Kiara, you actually tweeted, there are many internet uprisings happening against the normality of abuse, verbal and physical.
So when I wrote the piece, I was seeing a lot of women on social media coming forward and actually saying, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. And I think a part of that was we empowered ourselves with the language to actually identify emotional abuse, which often is really hard to identify because it's name calling, it's gaslighting, and it's hard to distinguish that versus when someone's being abused, hit. You can see the physical proof of that.
We found the internet appeared to be aligned on the definition of toxic masculinity, but we are seeing black women not believing other black women's account of abuse caused by toxic masculinity. A perfect example of this is from our Facebook page after we posted the Nas and Khalees story, where she spoke about him beating her in that recent interview. Keisha Griffin commented on Hello Beautiful's Facebook page saying, sorry, I'm not listening to it.
Why is there always this, if it's true, you would have said it earlier?
Right.
What is that?
And we see, a lot in MadameNoire's comment section. There are women who say, time out for this type of behavior, but there is so much questioning of, well, why would you let him do that to you? Why would you stay? Why did it get to this point? And there's so much more blame placed on the victim than asking, why did you abuse her in the first place? Why are you acting out like this?
We polled the audience on MadameNoire and Hello Beautiful to see what they thought about toxic masculinity. Kiara, the receipts.
So the findings were really troubling, and even though it confirmed what I already felt, it is, when you poll the audience and when we talk back to you guys, it's still scary to read that we all are feeling these things. So we asked, have you ever feared being physically attacked by a man? And 72% of our audience said yes, and 28% said no. Are you guys surprised by any of that?
Not at all.
No. Yeah. It's sad. It's like you expect women to have that experience as a part of their life. We also asked, which of these acts demonstrates a man's love for you? Out of physically fighting for you, getting jealous over who you talk to, choosing what you wear, controlling where you go. An overwhelming amount of the audience said none of these things show a man's love for you. But there were 10% who said a man physically fighting for you shows love, and a man getting jealous over who you talk to shows love.
So I think it's about learning, and as women, learning what is okay and what's not, what has to do with you, what doesn't have to do with you.
Right.
So.
This statistic kind of hurt me the most with, do men in today's society protect women? With 77% of us saying no. And even though I feel that way, my girls feel that way, it still is, it's hard to hear that we're out here feeling really alone and that we have to do this thing by ourselves and there is no covering of protection like we were raised to think we were going to get.
To move the conversation forward, we found conversations related to the topic that are happening elsewhere on the web. Now, one of the more telling pieces is an article from Roxane Gay in which she addressed how the changing dynamic between men and women really fuels toxic masculinity. Now, Roxane Gay wrote this piece in 2012, so that tells you this is not necessarily a new topic. But what do you think about this sentiment that as women become greater and more than, men automatically feel like they're less than?
Yeah, I think we're seeing that play out in racial dynamics as well as gender dynamics because, you have black people just being like, we just want to be equal to y'all.
Exactly.
We don't want to take anything from you. And I think women are screaming for the same thing.
I think traditional gender roles have also conditioned us to think that one is more important than the other. And as women, we've taken on so much of men's duties because, as we were saying, y'all be leaving us out here, okay? Raising the babies, fending for the babies, and doing all of this. So now we're just having the shift where we have to kind of relinquish responsibilities. People have to take more responsibility, and it's a growing pain.
It's funny you say that because I actually sat down with Lisa Nichols. She's a motivational speaker, author, and she really threw the topic back on women. I said, are we experiencing a crisis of masculinity? She said, sure, but I think we could also say there's a crisis of femininity as well. So let's check out her clip.
I believe that what we call masculine, what we call man, what we call being a man, has greatly changed since our fathers and our fathers' fathers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what it means. And so, I think that we are in a crisis in that way. I think we're also in a crisis of what it means to be a young woman.
I'm kind of a little disappointed that she had to throw it back on women because we're just talking about men right now. Yeah. We can never be in a state where we're just talking about men and we don't have to bring the woman or place some blame or onus on her. We've taken enough blame. Okay, we've done enough. We know we're only wearing the pants because you took them off and left them on the floor.
Now, I will say a good part of the interview was, Lisa also talked about being in an abusive relationship herself and some of the tools she used to get out of that and what she would like for other women to do and other men who don't have the proper tools. So definitely make sure you check out that full segment.
Based on all we've discussed, are we currently going through a crisis of toxic masculinity? I think so, but I think now that we recognize it, we have to make the effective changes. We have to break the cycle. We need more men talking to men about the behavior and, teaching them how to treat women and how to be better men. There you have it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow us, tweet us, and join in on next week's poll on Hello Beautiful and Madame Noire. And always, never forget, click the play button and make sure you're watching Listen to Black Women.